Peace and blessings, family. Is yours truly, Amar Amari. I am the founder of El Kebalan Unity Alliance, where we focus on your spiritual, your physical, and your financial well-being. And my queen, Amani Amari, is the co-founder. I just want to take out a brief moment today to touch bases on regards to a topic that's near and dear to my heart. And it's called They Don't Want You to Know the Truth. And today's subject matter will be based upon the title, They Can't Handle the Truth. And what inspired me to be able to deal with this message is because of the things that I myself personally have experienced, the persecution that I've experienced. Once my mindset has evolved, I recognize that I went through a lot dealing with people, okay, in regards to the facts about things, okay? And people that are deceptive, they don't want you to know the truth because they can no longer deceive you and they can no longer have the upper hand in the situation, just like an abusive husband who has a very beautiful wife, beautiful inside and out, and really don't want her to know her worth, really doesn't want her to know how beautiful she really is, because he can no longer continue to manipulate her and control her. And he doesn't really want anybody else to have her. He really knows that he's up to no good and that he's no good. So he wants to continue to manipulate and control that woman's mind, right? You have people today that also is involved in religiosity. They don't want you to know the truth about tithing. They don't want you to know the truth about that the tithe was actually for the Levitical priesthood, and that, biblically speaking, because we're talking about book, chapter, and verse. So when you go to the Old Testament and you start researching these things, you'll come to find that the tithe wasn't even monies. And the only time you even heard about the tithe being in a money form is when the people were too far away, according to the story, away from Jerusalem. And the reason why they don't want you to know the truth about this, because then they'll lose their income. Okay, they're getting rich off of the people. The people are struggling to pay their bills, are struggling to make it from day to day. But yet they're sitting high on the hog. So see, they don't want you to know the truth about those things, because then they won't have enough revenue coming in for them to continue to drive these high-end cars and live in these high-end neighborhoods and have these high-priced homes. You understand? They don't want you to know the truth about these things, so they can't continue to manipulate you and to control you. Listen, understand, I come from this background of people trying to manipulate and control people. I'm not talking about something because I'm trying to attack the church or anything along those lines. No, what I attack is lies. What I attack is people who are manipulative and controlling, okay, who's casting spells upon people, even in the spirituality realm. You have these false Babaluas, you know what I'm saying, that they're not actually authentic, okay, they're charging people all type of money, okay, again, deception. Okay, this is the problem that I have. Okay, the racist does not want you to know how powerful you really are, because then they can't continue to have the upper hand on you. They don't want you to know your worth. They don't want you to know how intelligent you are, so that then you won't be able to become independent if you continue to be incarcerated in your mind, and you won't have the confidence for you to step out and to start your own and to be independent and build generational wealth for you and your family. They don't want you to know that. Okay, it was just like, for instance, when our ancestors was on the plantation, okay, and our ancestors far outnumbered those who had enslaved us. But they had instilled so much fear in our ancestors to where they were afraid, even though they outnumbered them, okay, they were afraid for them to know that they actually had the power over them, rather them having the power over them. They didn't want them to know that they could actually take them over, because had they come to that realization, they would have fought, okay, and liberated themselves. Right? So you must understand that there are people today that do not want you to be free because they can no longer manipulate you and control you. Those who are in these political seats of power, and when true liberators start speaking out against these things, they can't handle the truth. And the truth is in their action because they murder us. Okay, now remember now, these are the same people who say that they're Christians. These racist people say that they're Christians, and they say that they subscribe to the Bible, but yet in the Bible, it tells you to love your neighbor. It tells you to overcome evil with good. It tells you to go about doing good. It tells you to be a peacemaker. And there's another verse that says, peace on earth, goodwill towards men. Last time I checked, the verse says, for God so loved the world. For God so loved the world. I don't see where the love is at for all mankind when they persecute someone predicated upon their ethnicity. They'll kick you off of these social media outlets when you start pulling the cover off of their racist agenda. They'll ban you. They'll murder us. They'll persecute us. They'll get us fired from jobs. They'll try to dig and pull all type of past tense things that happen in your life to try to justify their inhuman and ill treatment of human life and no regard for life after they murdered someone. And what they'll do is they'll go and they'll dig up the person's old track record about how corrupt they used to be. But yet the situation at hand didn't warrant them to murder the person, but they want to try to go back, dig up what had actually happened. Do you not know right now our sister, Sister DeBray, right now is supposed to be being sued by the police department because of her revealing the tactics that they utilized was not correct? The cover came off, the investigation came out that these brothers were innocent. This was before our sister even did the movie, that they were proven innocent, and that the process that they utilized, the protocol that they utilized, was not appropriate. And this was televised on the news, but yet now they're hiring lawyers to try to sue our sister. See, they can't handle the truth. They don't like that she proved that the protocol that they utilized and the interrogation, okay, and the heinous way that they tricked our brothers when they were young men, okay, into accepting the blame for something that they never did. As many of a lot of our other brothers, okay, and I have a personal friend, I have two personal friends who were unlawfully convicted and did time. In fact, one of our brothers did roughly around, I believe, 19 to 20 years, okay, for being wrongfully convicted of a crime that he did not commit. Okay? So when you start speaking out in regards to the reason why they incarcerate our men, because they have the prisons on stock market, is that not the truth? And if you can go right now and research it right now, and you will go to find, and you will come to find rather, that the stock market does consist of prisons, and you can buy stock in prisons. Would this not be the reason why our young people, okay, the African man and African woman, okay, is dealing with the school to prison pipeline? Are these things not facts? So if we're speaking the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help us, then why are we being persecuted for the things that we're saying? You know the reason why? Because people cannot handle the truth. People can't handle the fact that for centuries, our ancestors and even to date, our people have been lied to about these things in religion. They can't handle it. They can't handle the fact that unbeknownst to our elders and our families that raised us to follow after lies, that raised us to follow after falsehoods, unbeknownst to them, they have been deceived into following after falsehoods. They have been lied to. I want to say greetings to all the family. Greetings unto Queen Lisa Paget Hughes, and greetings to my good brother Jovian Johnson. Okay? People, they can't handle the truth. They can't handle the truth. See, when you hold a fellow African man and woman accountable and you reveal to them that, listen, you're always asking for something, but you never give. You always want the community to give something to you, but you don't want to give nothing to the community. They can't handle the truth. They get mad with you and then they side with the enemy, not knowing that after the enemy gets done with us, then they're going to take them out too. They just use them as a pawn to accomplish their will. People can't handle the truth. People can't really accept the fact that you can vote all day long, and as long as you have a racist and political power, injustice will continue. People don't want to deal with that. People don't want to deal with the fact that it doesn't matter if you vote for somebody who is racist. If you have two racist people running for political office, it's like choose your poison. Just like when Trump and Hillary Clinton was running for office. Now, yeah, some people, they can, talk about, what she did for some schools and how they gave and everything else like that. Could it not be a possibility that these people don't want you to really know the way that they are so they can get what they want? Could this not be that people don't want you to pay attention to the fact that they didn't do anything for the community until they started running for office? Could it be that people don't want you to know these type of things? Could it be that people don't want you to know about these lying pastors that's out here manipulating and controlling women? Now, I understand that everybody who says that they're Christian are not disingenuous. I'm talking about the disingenuous people who take advantage of people. These are the people that I'm talking about. I got enough sense to know that everybody that follows after that religion is not an extremist. But I also got enough sense to know that I've dealt with people who are extremists. And I had to handle them personally and deal with their extremists and their dogmatic and imposing approach. Okay? People don't want to deal with the fact that a lot of things that they've been taught, they only regurgitate what they have heard. They themselves have never studied it. They themselves have never researched or searched these things, but they open up their mouth so quickly to tell you the devil is a liar. Could it be a possibility that the spirit of the liar is influencing you? Could it not be that you are teaching things that you cannot prove to anybody? You're just teaching it because that's what you read and that's what you heard. You yourself personally has never seen this being called God. So how can you say that God is a male? In fact, I'll even go so far to question those who say that God is a woman. Have you ever seen this creator before? Listen, understand me. Why do I say that there's a creator? Okay. Okay, do you believe that there was a painter that painted a painting? Do you believe that there's an inventor that invented an invention? So I'm driving a car. Obviously, this car was created by somebody, so that there had to be somebody who invented the car. Somebody had to build the car. So I believe in the creator because of creation, and I know that I got enough sense to know we had to come from somewhere. I know that I got here through a mother and a father, so my mother and my father created me. So therefore, I know that there's creators. My mother and my father is my creator. Look at the definition of a creator. Creator means the root word is to create. A creator is one who creates. So I'm talking about the grand creator. I'm talking about the great architect of this universe, okay, that created all things in all life. How many people can honestly say that they've actually seen this being as we know it today as God, the creator, Olodumare, okay, Allah? How many people can honestly say, well, I say this because I had an experience with this being. I actually had an interface, and I'm not talking about people who call themselves God. Well, I look in the mirror every day, so I'm looking at God. No, I'm talking about this higher power, okay? This supernatural power as we know it today as God. How many people can honestly say that they had an interface with this being to say without lying that they know without a shadow of a doubt because they had an interface with this being to say that this being is male or female? How many people can actually say that they was there, they seen Jesus crucified on the cross, or Yeshua, or Yahweh, whatever you want to say? How many people can say that I was there in the beginning so I could teach this creation story because I was there in the beginning? People don't want to deal with the truth. People don't want to deal with the fact that really in all actuality, they've never seen these entities that they have been taught about. And spirituality and religion. I'm going to say it again. It's going to be all inclusive today. It's spirituality and religion. How many people can testify without lying and say that they had an interface with these beings as they know it, that they say that they worship or that they say that they pay homage to? Here's the reason why I'm saying these things, because people, they really don't want the truth. People don't want to deal with the fact that all of my life I've been following after something, and I myself personally have never researched or searched to see whether or not these things is true. I haven't taken out one moment to really be able to say that I can actually prove these things that I profess. How many people really have taken out the time to really question whether or not God really said these things to them in the Bible? How many people really have taken out the time to say, wait a minute, did God really say that? This person said that God said that. And I'm not talking about just in script. I'm talking about somebody come up saying, thus saith the Lord told me to tell you. I'm talking about that as well, all inclusive. Okay. How many people have really taken out the time to really challenge whether or not God said this? Now, this is another question I want to put on the table, and I want to leave this on the table just for people to meditate upon and to think about just for a moment. How many people can really say that they took out the time to question and say, how can I really say that God said this? How did I know whether or not God said this or not? I want you to think about that. I want you to meditate on that. I want you to know, how can you say that what God would and wouldn't say? Do you know God like that? I thought his thoughts was above our thoughts. I thought his ways was above our ways, higher than our ways. Okay? So I want you to really sit down and think about this. Everybody that says, well, this is God's word, I want you to really sit down and really think about how can you prove that that's God's word? And how do you really know the voice of God? What is the voice of God? How can you detect this voice that you say you know that is God? Now, it's amazing to me. It's amazing to me, and I always use this as an example because no one yet who follows after Christianity has been able to overthrow it. Because so many say that they believe that the Bible is the infallible word of God until it gets to the point where it says a woman can't teach. It's not God's word no more then. Oh, that's man's opinion. Well, why can't you take out the time then to challenge anything else that's written as man's opinion? And in fact, I challenge you on this. How can a person that is infallible write an infallible book? I'm going to ask you the question again. How can a person that's fallible write an infallible book? And I have another question. How can apostles who messed up just like you and I, who made mistakes, how could they ever write something without having mistakes? No man is without any fault. So, if no man is without any fault, how could you ever trust in a book that man wrote and say that it has no fault when you know that man has fault and you have fault? Now, I'm going to ask you another question. Why would a perfect God choose an imperfect person to write something knowing that it will have imperfections? And why would this being that knows all tell this person to say, this is the infallible word, when this God knows that no man has the ability, or woman has the ability, to be without fault? I'm going to leave that on the table. Peace, love, and power. Thank everybody for tuning in.